So 3.2 is also a deputation from Bronwyn. It's regarding a project using waste matter as a circular economy and housing infrastructure initiative.
So the second presentation I'm doing for you today is about using recyclable materials to build houses. So it's about creating an industry for the Fleurieu, it's about saving the planet, it's about dealing with a burgeoning issue which is homelessness, and it's about making money for councils. So how did I get here? Prior to moving to the Fleurieu in 2007, I spoke at the World Economic Forum on the homeless women situation that we are currently experiencing. In 2020, the Homeless Forum at Kyneton Rocks, Rex Keeley and I attended from Alexandrina Council, and at that I was approached by several people and I joined the Fleurieu Foundation Committee for Homelessness. In 2021, I created the Fleurieu Affordable Housing Committee with Malangan District's Community Centre, Junction Housing, Alexandrina Council, Anglican Church and private investors, landlords and builders on board. So Alexandrina's history. Prior to the last term, and I found this out as a result of the process, Junction Australia Community Housing Regeneration was supported with a delegation to staff to determine the qualifying development application. So that meant that in social housing, Matt Atkinson, who is the planner, could determine smaller houses and more on blocks. It's really critical when you're looking at housing. In 2021, we had our first meeting and Alexandrina staff were present. And with our last meeting, the staff could not attend because of caretaker mode, and we had it in November. And MADCA was left to investigate becoming a housing provider. They've since decided not to go down that route. Also in October, Councillor Scott asked administration to continue to investigate options with respect to affordable housing in the area. So we're three independent people wanting to make a difference. John Nicoladis, he's a builder with over 30 years construction background, mostly in Greece and Germany. He's been at the forefront of 3D printing of houses. He works in civil construction and is quite frankly an awesome entrepreneur. Doriana Corda, who is an urban designer, has worked in 12 countries across Asia and the Middle East, and she's delivered projects with cross-cultural teams. She's really familiar with international building codes, and obviously because she trained here in Australia, she understands all the building codes and complex stakeholder management. And me, I've got 20 years lecturing at postgraduate level in entrepreneurship, and I know how to define an opportunity. I've represented Australia in conferences all over the world. So in November 21, I went to Melbourne and I saw our little friend, the robot, and the gantry now in situ at Swinburne University. So if you're driving past Swinburne anytime soon, you can look in the window and see exactly that. It's not about selling concrete, it's about a market product that meets our customers. And this is where we started with John from Slick Build. So these are what the walls look like. Some of you might have seen the block. He printed a cabana in the block. So what it shows you is this is the printing of the walls. And what we're looking at is components like this. So you can see where the wet cement has come. And one of the reasons why printing in 3D is so good as opposed to cast cement building when it's flat on the ground, the cement dries and the integrity is not damaged by moving it up. So when you bring it from flat to horizontal, vertical, the cement's compromised. Whereas this way it dries in situ, and you can make modulars that can be clicked into each other. My ideal is to print on site because you can print a 4-bedroom house in 4 days. The problem is the gantry is €1.4 million, so we won't be doing that just yet. So in December, I met with John from Slick Build and Doriana again, and this was the eureka moment. That grey stuff in front of you is recycled cement and plastic printed in a 3D printer. So we know that Fleurieu Waste has about 8,000 tonnes of building materials recycled each year. So just keep that in the back of your mind as I go through the rest. So it was a eureka moment for me because I'm always looking for recycling projects, and Green Industries has a grant that equals an opportunity. So I met with Matt after the roundtable on housing, met with the State Director of Affordable Housing, met with Business Victor Harbour, because it can't come from 3 individuals, it has to come from a community to be able to get this thing off the ground. And Business Victor Harbour are really keen to see this and it's as an industry for the Fleurieu. So what is needed is your imprimatur. You bring your ideas and your contacts to our next affordable housing meeting. And if you've got any questions about it, now's the time to ask. I'm going to Yankulallit and KI council meetings tomorrow, and then Victor Harbour next week. All 4 councils and Fleurieu Waste are informed about what we're doing, and we're looking at how we can solve both the recycling problem that we have, and we know that there's been problems with the recycled cement here in Alexandrina, and also affordable housing that we can click together in modules. And just yesterday, Peter Malanoukas announced that all products for new social housing had to be made in South Australia. So my eyes lit up. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for Bronwyn on the housing? Councillor Nicholas.
You need to use the mic. Sorry.
So the 3D printer that can print the layers of cement can be moved on location to a block?
Yes, so the gantry that was in there, that gantry which is holding it, the house can be built on site with the robot, that little robot at the beginning. So that little robot holds the printer, and that can fit on the back of a trailer. So all you need is the right aggregate of cement and plastic mixed on site to be pumped through, and that's what the proof of concept test will test. So we know it works because we've done it, but now we need to work out how good it is, the thermal dynamics of the product, so that we are building affordable housing not just as cheap builds, but as affordable going forward for the people living in them.
Councillor Coons.
Thanks for your presentation, Bron. I'm just wondering, it sounds like a very exciting project. In terms of affordable housing, are you looking at actually establishing an estate of some sort, like the land estate, and building it? Are you looking to integrate with existing housing? What sort of thinking do you have there?
Okay, so originally when we were starting to talk with Malang Community Centre about them becoming a housing provider, Matt and Penny Wallen from Council had identified some land in Malang that has the potential to have affordable housing, and it's also owned by SA Housing Trust, so that's why I spoke to the director. We would love the opportunity to prove the concept in quick build, but the reality is, to build this industry, so John is a classic entrepreneur. He's like, come on, let's just give us a block of land and we'll do it. Whereas I know for councils, for government to be involved, we have to go through the criteria, we have to, prove the concept, but also put up a really good business case. I don't think that it will need any money from local government or state government. I think that it will happen. Boral have underwritten the 3D printing, and Alex Fraser's and Hanson are looking at the recycling, underwriting that. So I think that once we've got all the ducks lined up, but I think in order to do that and to get the community to come along, we need to go through a process that people can be part of, like this. I see this as a stakeholder information, really. It'd be great if we have your imprimatur so that when we put in our grant, we've got all 4 councils happy for us to be looking at it. We're not asking for anything else, but it's about really disrupting the building industry because it is so much cheaper to build. And that's what innovation's about. Thank you.
Councillor Thornton.
I just wonder, is there anyone in Australia who's living in one of these at the moment? Like, have you had any feedback?
Well, they did the cabana on the block in Massenden, and there's some projects being done. This is with 3D printing of cement, but not with the recycled. Nobody's looking at the recycled yet. This is a really unique opportunity. And it's unique because all the intellectual property is in John's head around the aggregate and the combination. But he has, if you go to Slick Build website, there's plenty of houses that he's built overseas. New South Wales Government, Homes Victoria, they had a huge village that they'd lined up to do last year, and they put it on hold during the election period, and that's still waiting. You know, state government, it could take another couple of years, but the idea is, and I've actually got the plans for those houses that are going to go into Victoria that are all 3D printed. The other thing that it brings to the area, because if you're doing the frame, you have the slab and the steel frame or the wood frame or whatever, all the kitchen units, all the tiling, all that sort of stuff is industry bringing young people down to the Fleurieu as well. So if we're going to be making those modules in Malang or in Goolwa or whatever, we're going to be building those modular kitchens to go into the modular houses. And they're not ugly, and that's why I got Doriana involved, because she's such a creative architect. You don't have to look crappy to be cheap. It's really, you know, she's really determined to make this a beautiful environment that won't become a ghetto. It'll become something that we can be proud of.
Any further questions? Councillor Kermans?
Yeah, just a quick one. I'm just wondering, this seems to be a reasonably new concept in Australia, and we do have building regulations and things like that. Does it meet all of the aspects of that?
And this time last year I would have said no, but because they've been working, it's NATA, the National Australia, Matt will know what the rest stands for, but there is the whole criteria around, it's a national code, so getting it signed off in New South Wales or Victoria first, and that's what I've kind of been sitting on, waiting for one of those big projects so that we didn't get burnt being the guinea pig. So I've been waiting for one of those to go live. So Burrell is working with John on the New South Wales Government Housing Project, and then he's working with Alex Fraser and Hanson, I believe, I might have it the other way around, in the Victorian Government one. But both of them are meeting the national standards.
Any further questions? Thanks very much, Bronwyn.
Thank you.
South Coast Television, your community, your voice.